Hey, how are you? I don't know where you are, but it's a little chilly here where I am, which is why I have on a sweater. We're pushing into the holiday season, and today is Veterans Day. I am Sadia Davis. I am the producer of Reel to Reel and a real estate developer. And today I have some really good news because we released that I am now the executive director of Collaboration. So, all that being said, several years ago, I was inspired to develop a theater on the West Side. And Kayla, my dear friend, knows that this was like a passion of mine to bring forth this incredible building. Kayla Jones, I am so happy that you've seen this space. You've walked the space, right?
Yes. I remember being there before the big transformation took place, and it was just amazing to be there in person and see to understand what the vision was, and then to actually see it. That was just
Yeah.
amazing.
And so that's the thing, Kayla. You're so right. For so many years, people would see this beautiful postmodern building driving down Washington in Austin. This is near the major corner intersection of Central and Washington. And the beautiful, gorgeous exterior is just something to marvel at. But inside, there was nothing. There were no seats. It was completely gutted. And in fact, it was used as storage. And, I couldn't help but see it as an asset for the immediate stakeholders, the Catalyst Circle Rock children, K through eighth graders. I was a shy kid on the fourth grade. My mom put me on a stage. And then the community. So now today, thanks to the help of White and Company Construction, the theater looks like that. So today I'm honored to bring on James Mark, Chief Strategy Officer, Senior Vice President of White and Company. James, although he was not the architect on this particular project, he is a licensed architect and business leader utilizing design thinking as a platform for creativity, innovation, and organizational leadership. He leads strategic growth initiatives for White and Company's integrated design, engineering, construction, and transportation services. Crane's 2021 notable nonprofit board leaders, serving as chairman of the board for CASTLE, the Chinese American Service League. He's the executive board. He's also on the executive board for Friends of the Chicago River. His name is James. I call him Jim. What's going on?
What's going on, Celia?
How are you?
I'm good. By the way, congratulations on your new role.
Oh,
one of many, right?
Yeah. I tell you, as an emerging developer and as a developer, we all have these really cool opportunities to imagine and create spaces and provide access to places for the public. And one of the things that I'm fascinated is by you. So, Jim, again, I call you Jim. Tell me a little bit about you. Maybe a little bit about what inspired you to become an architect?
Well,
yeah.
My dad was an architect, although he didn't really want me to be an architect at the start. I think he finally accepted it once I started my first job, but he was fantastic. And he was my inspiration, but I was really doing it since middle school, and my high school had a architecture program. So anyway, I was fascinated by it, and it really gives me an opportunity to connect with people and see their vision be created.
Yeah. It's so funny as I've gotten to know more and more architects, attorneys for developers, everybody has their own sort of, I wouldn't call it a bucket, but like a room that they fill in a greater formula of building things, right? And I keep finding that you guys are so much fun to hang out with.
Well,
I created, huh?
It's really like balance creative, maybe some technical stuff, but it can be fun. There are days it's not fun, but like anything, we try to have fun.
Well, tell me, in some of the cases when it's not fun, what does that look like?
Well, listen, I think it's interesting when you go to architecture school and, you think you go in there, you're going to be the great designer coming out, but, architecture is a business, and there's the part about really understanding, that's the fun part, is really getting to meet a client, a community, an organization where they have objectives and we can bring that to life. But really the majority about it is, we have to do the technical side of it. Select materials, document things, you go through construction and try to build it. And, those can provide challenges, but that's also what makes it fun as well.
Yeah, well, it's so fun that when I was a little kid, my mom used to have these incredible fight parties. I don't know about you, but like back in the day, she would do chili and like shrimp kebabs and like all these things. But in the liquor box, if you go to Benny's or any of these liquor stores where you buy in multiples, they give you a box and it's got the dividers. Well, I would turn it on its side and I would like cut out and make little houses or buildings. Not so much fun when I went to it was the Urban Design Pre-Academy at Berkeley to decide whether or not I wanted to do, architecture. And little did I know that was more of city planning. And I was like, I don't know, like
building things.
Well, yeah, it's like math and measurements. And I was like, oh, these models, because I love miniatures. Yeah, but to make them are pretty intense. So how would you say that technology has impacted in a positive way your ability to model?
Well, I'll date myself. I started with hand drafting.
Nice.
Okay. Nowadays, it is absolutely amazing what the last couple of generations coming out now. We can iterate and prototype, model build, almost virtually so quickly now. And the power of the tools, not only the design side, but as you translate to the construction side. Mm-hmm. We don't do 2-dimensional drawings. We're literally building 3-dimensional models, which can transfer into the manufacturing and construction of the project. It's really, it's fascinating. I don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore. The smarter ones get to do that.
No, that's great. That means Jim has a team, everybody. So here, one of the things I want to encourage our viewers is definitely, feel free to ask us any questions. Here's an opportunity to really, speak to Jim or, participate in this conversation. So as you were talking about that, Jim, it just reminded me that I was at an investor's sort of portfolio annual announcements, right? And this is Nick Moran has what's called New Stack. And one of the companies that was there, I got really excited about it. It's that they're based out of Canada. I don't remember the name, you guys. But it was like a laser that would imprint on the floor to scale where buildings and things would go. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what?
I mean, the thing you do with drones and robotics now, they're printing concrete. I mean, this AI at all, it's really going to change very, very quickly here in the next decade. So it is really transforming what we can do as architects and designers and engineers and builders. So, again, the power of the technology, and I'll say probably the generation coming in, their knowledge coming into the industry is off the charts. It really is. And back to the team, I mean, I'm lucky where I work at White. We are a fully integrated team. So we have architects and engineers and managers and builders, and we also have a transportation group. So we have all that in-house, and we get to see that at work. And especially when you think of the last couple of generations coming in the office, it's fun to see it happen.
Well, we've got one comment from Keon Parsons. I can appreciate his honesty. Well, thank you, Mr. Parsons.
I guess I'm being honest. I couldn't turn on the computer to do a model now.
Well, and speaking of, well, okay,
you can do a little hand sketch, but somebody has to bring it to life like that. So.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking to your abilities and what you do, let's take a look at some of your work.
Sure.
So talk to me a little bit about this.
This is Victoria Soto High School, formerly UNO High School, United Neighborhood Organization, and Kedzie and 51st in Gage Park. Wow. This was a fascinating project. We actually, this is the third time going after trying to do work at the time when they were the ones really setting the city on fire in terms of pushing the envelope on design. And you can look at some of the other projects with some other great architects in the city.
Yeah.
What's interesting with this coming to the high school, the campus is called the Soccer Academy. People think this is supposed to be like a soccer stadium, but really the best part of this, I got inspired by the project right next to the elementary school. I was at the ribbon cutting. We haven't won this yet, and I was listening to the community, and the parents were just amazed. They never thought they would get a new building, much less a school in their community, and seeing the hope they had. So the building really, it's like a circle. The idea was like wrapping the arms around the community, and that was the concept there. When it was funny, we were late night working on a workshop, and ultimately that's what won the design competition. And you can't imagine in those underserved areas that they get a new building and they school, and it really is an inspiration for them in terms of how they teach and how the community gives them hope.
Well, I just want to touch on something, because when you actually said that it was about the hands wrapping around the community, I could actually see that in the colors and the design. How much would you say narrative impacts, and we can take a look at the next slide, but how much would you say that narrative and the story impact the community's embracing or understanding what you're trying to share?
Well, it's interesting. I know you're creative. I got the chance to teach design studio, and I would not let my students start sketching. We would go to the library. Now I'm dating myself again. I mean, to deeply understand, and that was it. Look, and it took us the third try to win. It was really the understanding of deeply understanding the community. You had to go and immerse yourself in the community, and so the narrative, and like anything great design, if you can put the thesis around it that drives the design, like this being the arms around the community. If you look at the plan, it was just had that same gesture, and then the courtyard, is kind of relationship to the community itself. So the narrative, I think, is extremely important to start a project off.
Wow, I really appreciate that, because as you described it, I could then see it. So let's take a look at the next one. I just wanted to stop because that was beautiful.
So this is the Chicago Public Library Chinatown branch. And we had just won a first design build job with the city of Chicago. Just north of here is the Leonard Louis Fieldhouse. Then this one comes out, and the city had a higher level of design excellence as a requirement for this, and it was going to be kind of a design competition. And so I was actually friends with Brian Lee, who was a design partner at Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and asked if he wanted to go after the project. So, this is a design build job. They were the design lead, and this is a special project.
It's beautiful. I've seen it. It's like one of my favorite libraries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was voted like number 6 most beautiful library in the world. But the thing how it came about, and it was done by the way, all these projects I'm going to show you, the other thing is for us is speed. That high school was done designed and constructed like 14 months. Same thing with this library. It typically takes 2 to 3 times as long. Design and construction.
Jim, literally, so is that a thing with White & Company? Because when I talk about how fast our theater was built, in fact, I was having that conversation earlier, it blows people's mind. And it's like, nobody understands. We broke ground in April 2018, and we wrapped no dust in March 2019 in time for the runoff. But, people don't understand. So if that's a thing with White & Company, that's
when there's a will, there's a way. We've done some crazy things in time, and give ourselves a bit of toot for what we do. The idea that we can bring cost certainty very, very early in the design phase, and then typically that relates to if you're working with other contractors and stuff, that there's a value of cost that we could put it right back into the building, whether it's scope or quality. And the Chinatown Library is very similar. There was a very strict budget on it, and the design of it consolidated what typically was done in a prototype, pushed in the center, and which created extra value of having the inside of it has the center space, like art shows and stuff. But the building is actually smaller than the program, but it was able to accomplish all the programmatic needs. So, and then both these projects was really deep involvement with the community to learn and understand. And then the other thing too, Brian Bannon, who was a commissioner at the time. It was just new. The transformation of this nationally about how a library becomes a community center. And that's really what it is. It just happens to be a library.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's just beautiful. So, okay, well, let's just keep it going. I mean, this
All right.
is good.
So this one is another fun one too. So there's two nonprofits that came together, and so it was Action, but now it's called Allies for a Community Business, I think, and ICNC. And they had this idea of an incubator that was certainly it was at ICNC, but there's food and beverage, and and they got these lots. They wanted to create this food and beverage incubator, and they consolidated some lots, and it's a very unique facility. We researched every one of these around the country. All of them went into existing buildings. This was brand new.
Oh,
but the fun part of this was this area that you see in front here is when this is an empty lot, the community used to have like their pop-up tents and stuff, sell food, and they were really concerned that this was going to take it over. But we had community workshops. And in the end, it became the front door, the front yard to it. And it's really a gesture towards the community can use this for all kinds of things. So, and that's what they do on top of the hatchery. It also becomes a program space for the hatchery itself. So really cool. And this is for the food. It's for the food industry to start new businesses right here in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
They can go in there for 1 or 2 years, get coached, get financing, and go start a business.
It's beautiful. I mean, I'm very aware of it. In fact, right at the time, Rahm Emanuel and the NOF Fund gave the Carine Center $1 million. He's like, they put 34, I believe it was 34 million into the hatchery. And it was really exciting because for individuals who do not understand where the hatchery is located is in Garfield Park area. And it's a historically disinvested community. And so all of a sudden now you have, like you mentioned, ghost kitchens, you have food and education. Chef Rick Bayless is also an instructor there. And then to your point, there is financing and opportunities to help make sure that your business is successful. So thank you for such an incredible design and really honoring, again, I'm hearing a through line of community. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when you say disinvested areas, I know we're going to talk about it later, but the mayor's initiative Invest in Southwest, this was kind of ahead of that.
It was.
And so it is a great example of how you can bring private dollars and public dollars and put it in areas that normally wouldn't see this development.
That's great. Oh my
goodness. And it's connected to transit, which is what's great about the city of Chicago too.
Absolutely.
Right on L.
Oh, well, I mean, all of the ways that we're able to get around and connect to these spaces is really important. And that space is off of the Green Line for those of you who are watching us. So any questions out there? We're going to keep this moving. So what's next?
So that with that project there and the mayor's initiative to bring investment into these disinvested areas with an initiative called Invest Southwest. And they've selected 10 sites in various areas along the east and west corridor to partner with the city to bring private dollars and incentivize it to make these investments. So I was involved in helping the city write 2 of the RFPs. They brought in the private sector to help them do that and articulate it. And then eventually we got a development team. And this is called Lawndale Redefined. And the developers are, I gotta give this like a quick shout out.
I was gonna say, who's the developer on
Yeah,
it?
I think I can do that, right? It's GMA, Imagine Group, and 548.
Okay, awesome. Great. They're on the west side, right?
Yeah. So here it is. So this is North Lawndale. Again, there's the residential with 60 units, 48 are affordable. 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. What you see there on the right is a little restaurant. In between there is retail. Kind of in the back is a bistro with a rooftop. place for people to hang out. Underneath that is a grocery store. David Terrell is actually going to be developing that part of it. The spirit of this really is there's two main components: is the square, the courtyard, which really is an embodiment of I think what the RFPs wanted to do in terms of how can you represent the community and give a space that they normally wouldn't have. So this thing has like misting fountains, and we have a history trail. It promotes healthy walking. It creates intimate spaces for people of all ages to come. Mm-hmm. Then the thing on the left is called the Cube. And the idea is looking to the future for North Lawndale. And, so the next slide of this is it's really representing inside this building can completely transform. And so this is an incubator. So people can come here and learn, take classes, get a job. Towards the back there is a community room that can open up in the courtyard. The next image, it completely can transform into, you can have an art fair, you can have a community event by these movable walls and stuff. So the idea is to have this highly flexible space that's really meant for the community, so the community can help shape it. And then when you look at the next image, this is kind of a night image. And so, we can have, a movie showing. Around the corner of the Cube is an area, a wall for community art to go there. So this is another one that's really special. We just won, so we're just getting started. And again, to be able to reflect a community and be able to give them something that's going to stand the test of time for decades to come.
Gorgeous.
That's the privilege of being involved with projects like this.
I mean, literally, you are changing the landscape. I mean, you are literally changing the landscape. I mean, if you could give 3 tips, and it doesn't have to be about architecture or development or design, what would you give?
Well, I'll combine a couple.
Okay.
On the design side, I think empathizing is extremely important. For us, it's inspiring innovation. I work at a company that we're interdisciplinary, and then design excellence is really a catalyst for change. So I can't say enough how lucky I am. But for me, it's obviously my family, my kids, my wife, my kids, my both of them live. Well, my son will eventually live in the city this Sunday. My daughter lives in the city. I guess I have a passion to serve, and I just love helping others be successful, whether it's someone I work with or helping clients or helping the community. Well,
I tell you, those are valuable elements and core values, really, in terms of, how can you serve? Finding ways to serve in your community. So much of what you've discussed tonight, you take community into consideration in your design and your builds, which is beautiful. And that's where we have transformation happen in neighborhoods, where we reduce crime, and we give people more of a sense of life and value and beauty in certain areas. And to speak on Invest Southwest, it was actually launched out of the Caroline Center for the Arts. Thank you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor
Whitefoot.
Yes, and D-Case for launching it out of the Caroline Center for the Arts. In fact, the RFP wins were also announced at the Caroline Center for the Arts. So I am so elated at the opportunity not only to continue to get to know White & Company, because we met on a different project, but just to understand that the ethos of how you deliver for projects, how you consider community is so extremely valuable. And more than that, that you've taken your valuable time to share with us tonight on Reel to Reel. So, do you have any plans going into the weekend? Well,
first, thank you for having me. Yeah, this has been great. I knew it'd be great having you. Your energy is contagious. Yeah, I'm going to help my son move out of our house, so I'll be
out of your house?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's something to look forward to. Yeah. Oh, Jim, we've got Nicole M. Hello. What drove a lot of the sustainability elements of the Chinatown Library? Good question, Nicole. Thank you.
Well, so that one that's called lead, and so the goal was lead silver, is bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, and it was really it is really innovative, and it was recognized as lead platinum, and which is interesting for a full glass building and how it can actually achieve that. But I think the city deserves a lot of credit to set the standard high. We took it even a level higher. It was a very innovative mechanical system in terms of how it's heated and cooled, and the way the fins work on the building, to the materials we selected, to how we built the building. And yeah, it got the highest recognition. So it's pretty cool. And that's a representation for the community. I mean, that's the most visited library, I think. And the embodiment of everyone that contributed to it, you can feel all that. So, and sustainability is one of those elements.
I'm going to ask our technical director, Kayla, can you pull that shot back up really quick? Because here's the thing, Jim, that building, it's beautiful, but it's impressive, but it's not overbearing. So when you're walking around the corner, approaching sort of the center of Chinatown, that center, and you pass it, it's really striking. And it's the building of the Chinese Library. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, I mean, well, I got to give a shout out to Brian Lee and the partners at SOM. I mean, it was amazing to be able to work on it. You should check it out at night when you can see the artwork kind of glow through the windows too. I mean, it's really amazing. And the simplicity of it is where I think the beauty comes from. And when you think of this, links the old Chinatown from the south to kind of north Chinatown, the new Chinatown to the north. This is really this kind of at this intersection, and then they moved Wentworth after, so it's kind of somewhat sitting on this island. It is pretty amazing, and it wasn't like you had to go backwards to represent Chinatown, what people would normally be. This is really looking forward, and it became more than what it was meant to be. People come to the city just to see that building and experience it.
Well, and that's the beauty of what you do as an architect, and the blessing that we have in your creativity being manifested in the physical space. Because tonight we've talked about 3 different regions of the city. I mean, this is, and really various communities. Talk about diversity and inclusion. So thank you. And thank you to White and Company for having you on board as senior vice president and making sure that, as a company, I mean, you guys are really doing the good work. So
thanks.
My hearts to all the Jims, because there's more than one.
Yes. Again, shout out to Mr. Jim Nagel.
Shout out to Jim.
Another
Nagel.
Jim.
Yes. Thank you so much, James, and have a great time in a loving way, moving your son into the next stage of his life.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jim. Wow, it's just one of those remarkable things where, individuals in the world of whether it's creating real intellectual property, films, right? In fact, speaking of a film, you guys, November 19th, I encourage you to go see King Richard, starring Will Smith. It's the story of Venus and Serena Williams and their father, but more importantly, how much did the mother play? You will find out. Thanks to the Chicago International Film Festival, we screened it at our evening last event, and yesterday, Will Smith showed up in the city of Chicago, went down to XS Tennis. Give a shout out to Kamal Murray, who built a beautiful facility on the south side of Chicago off of Garfield. This particular facility has the clay that is in Italy made into bricks, so that the feeling of a tennis player as they're preparing for an Italian Open or whatever that one is actually has the ability to play on that kind of surface. The amount of intentionality that goes into design and build is phenomenal. So to wrap it all up, go see the movie when you get a chance on November 19th. Again, I'm Sadia Davis, and it is getting into the holiday season. And as a creative entrepreneur, I would love for you to share as a gift to those you love or someone you want to inspire, 33 ways not to screw up creative entrepreneurship. This was my gift to you. Well, it's not free. It's $12.99 on Amazon. But it definitely, for creative entrepreneurs and those of you who have friends or family who are figuring their way out as an entrepreneur, can be kind of a fun guidebook. So I encourage you to shop on Amazon and share it with your family. With that, be kind to one another. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. Thanks again to Jim Nagel of White and Company, and make it great. Always